Welcome to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Gulseth, and I have a very full studio today.
None of us are Andy.
Thanks, Peter. I know I'm sitting behind the board,
Andy.
and I have lots of people in front of me, but I'm in charge of this, so this is fun. Hopefully we'll all behave today. But we're talking about something that all happened over the weekend that we all attended, the March for Life in Washington, D.C. and the LCMS Life Conference. It was my first time going to either of those things. So I have all kinds of reactions to things running through my head. But y'all don't want to hear about me. So we're going to ask our full studio of guests about their reactions and experiences and maybe some encouragement for other people to attend next year. Or I think there's still some Marches for Life.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it? Marches for Life.
Marches for Life.
Marches for Life.
Yeah.
I like how you're like co-hosting with me anyway.
Apparently it comes naturally. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So joining us in studio today, Eric Lunsford, managing photojournalist for the LCMS. Welcome, Eric.
Good morning. I'm
just going in order, otherwise I'm going to mix people up. Peter Slayton, social media manager for the LCMS.
And I'm not Andy.
You're not Andy. You might like...
I do miss Andy, though. I hope he comes back
We all
soon.
miss Andy.
I miss Andy, too.
Yeah. It's been a long haul. Holding down the fort. Yeah. Come back, Andy. We all miss you. Dorothy Cran's director of Recognized Service Organizations. Welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you. Good morning. And
Thanks.
I'm definitely not Andy. I do miss him.
We're going to have to make like little name tags for everyone that says I'm not Andy.
That's right.
But only certain people are going to understand. So maybe not. I don't know. And
Pieces of flair.
Kevin Armbrust, who's giving us all really weird looks. What's your title? Director of Editorial Services. Hi, Kevin.
I'm not Andy.
All right. Now that that's cleared up.
Eric's the only one who did not identify as not Andy. So is he actually Andy?
I don't know. It's like the philosophical question of the day. It's like, where's Waldo? But
I'm not Andy.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
So we can all move on now.
He's never going to come back after this. Oh, man. So this past weekend, we were all in Washington, D.C. for the Life Conference, LCMS Life Conference and the March for Life, which I believe all of you have been to the March for Life prior to this year. So I'm the only first timer in this room. And the Life Conference, which I think I just learned this year. I didn't know this happens every other year. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. So, and this year the Life Conference theme was Joyfully Alive, Body and Soul, which kind of dovetails with our what is it, triennium theme? Is that what you call it? Joyfully Lutheran. Hopefully everyone has seen those hashtags on social media. Hopefully everybody's following the LCMS social media and also sees those hashtags and maybe uses them too with their own stories. So I know, Dorothy, you told me not to come to you first, but I'm going to come to you first.
Thank you.
Just give me a little bit of a, summary of the Life Conference, maybe what we were trying to present to the people who were there, and maybe the things that people hopefully came away with from the Life Conference.
Yeah, so going along with the theme of being joyfully Lutheran in body and soul, trying to reach out and proclaim that God has created us, He has formed us from conception, He's with us to end of life. And how do we live out our life as children of God, loving, serving, caring for one another? So as a body of Christ, we are to embrace one another at every stage of life. And we know there are difficulties throughout our life, but God is with us. So really encouraging our members to embrace the life that God has given us and created us to. Mm-hmm. So I think that was kind of the general theme in all of our breakout sessions, talking about life at all stages.
Yeah, I think that definitely came across the breakout sessions that I went to. I know Michael Salaming's were fantastic. I was told they were fantastic, and they were fantastic. Eric, Peter, and Kevin, I know you guys were working during this, so I know it can be difficult to to pay attention and also to be working at the same time. But what were some of your experiences at the Life Conference, maybe sessions you went to or things that stuck out to you from sessions or worship services?
We're all looking at each other,
I know.
so I guess I'll just
first?
go. Yeah, because dead air on radio is bad.
Right.
I think I'll share some feedback that I heard, because this was something a history of the conference that I was not familiar with, and that is, a couple years ago, they made an intentional shift away from more technical presentations. I guess the presentations were more detail-oriented, technical in the sense that if you didn't really know the field that was being discussed, the sessions themselves might have been harder to understand. And so they made a shift in choosing speakers that could actually help you in your conversations with your friends and family. Hopefully these are conversations and not fights and arguments. I say that as a social media manager, where that's kind of all we do. But topics and subjects that could actually help you when you're having those conversations, having those discussions, actually have better conversations and better discussions. So I heard some feedback that actually happened, and that it was very helpful for a lot of people, including a lot of the college students who were there, because there were a ton of college students, which was awesome.
Yeah, there were a lot of college students. Eric being the photojournalist, taking pictures. What about you, Eric? I know you see a lot of the conference from behind your camera, but what did you experience? Maybe, I don't know, maybe in the worship services. I know you were taking pictures of people. What do you see during those worship services, those the moments that you're trying to catch?
That's a great question. A lot of these are actually a huge blur to me, because you're going between, you're really trying to anticipate a lot of things. And I was just thinking about what Peter said. One thing I try to do is get to every breakout session, into every presentation. I make sure I make photographs of people who are all there presenting as people are also watching. And so you're always kind of keeping an eye out for great little moments there. And it's something where you might have that attention, or someone's just really focused and just really just kind of soaking it up. But what's great is that I get a little bit of all of it to listen to. And one of the challenges, it's like a sweet challenge actually, is I have to kind of keep moving, otherwise I'm going to miss them. Because you get in there and you're like, oh, that's fascinating. Huh. Well, let me just kind of sit back in my chair a little bit and listen. Oh, wait, now I got to go. And so often I miss the majority of it. But it's such a delight to be able to just stop in and just listen for a few minutes and just see just people really enjoying that and just really soaking that up. That's just such a pleasure. So, and with the worship services too, to be able to kind of slink in and out of seeing people really have those, and that joyfulness during singing hymns or when they're receiving communion. And then of course for me, I've got to kind of stop for a second and then go receive the sacrament, which is a huge blessing. I love that. I get to kind of dovetail between worship and also making pictures at the same time. So that's always a joy to me.
Yeah. You have the privilege of being able to walk all the way around the room where we're having our service to actually see people, because you get to stand in front and look at us and nobody thinks it's weird, which is an interesting perspective.
It is. But it was packed. So I'm like,
yeah, it was.
So I'm like, excuse me, pardon me, sorry, pardon me. Oh, that was a hand.
I stepped on a foot.
Whoops. Just don't step on any of the little kids crawling around. You'll be okay.
There were several
there
this
were.
time.
I love that.
They were crawling around the back.
That was
cute.
great.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, it's your turn.
Well, I think one thing that I noticed this year, which was really, really wonderful, was that the focus was not just on children and babies. We love babies, and that's great. But there's also a really wonderful presentation on caring for the aged, and the presenter, and I honestly just forgot his name at this moment, but he really helped congregation or people think through the people in their congregation that are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's, but also those who care for those people. And it was a really wonderful session on helping us think through how do we help the people who are caring for their loved ones who are facing these difficulties. And the statistics were staggering at the number of people that are facing these situations, the impact that it can have to care for somebody, what it means to go from working full-time to caring full-time, and the impact that can have financially, but also emotionally, and kind of how it can change someone's identity. And it was really a beneficial presentation to help us think through people that we might know in our churches, in our congregations. How can we help somebody who's facing this kind of a change in their life? And that's one of the really great things about the way the LCMS looks at life issues, is that it's not just babies. It's not just the abortion issue. It's not just, issues of what the rest of the world would say pro-life. We really do work hard at these conferences and the way we talk about these issues to talk about life in its totality, and so it was really wonderful to see, I actually talked to, they didn't understand me, but a 5-week-old baby. and there were also, a lot of elderly people that were there, but also a lot of attention, like I said, spent on helping us work through how to care for people in our churches. And that was really a blessing.
You had everything from strollers to wheelchairs.
Yeah.
If you can put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah. It was really cool to. I mean, I don't have any frame of reference for previous conferences, but it was a really cool experience to be in a room with people spanning so many different stages of life, and to be talking about so many different stages of life, and from birth to talking about dementia, and also there was a great session from our friends at Bethesda about caring for people with disabilities, which I think is such a huge thing for our churches to understand how to do that and to fully incorporate those people into our worship services. So, it is time for our break. So, Dorothy, you are leaving us. So, thank you so much for coming down and talking with us. And the rest of you will be back in the next segment. So, we're just going to hang out in here. We're talking about the Life Conference and March for Life. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Gulseth. We'll be right back.
On the next adventure in Odyssey, emotions are running high as Connie visits Whit in the hospital.
Where's Whit? How is he? Tell me he's all right. I don't think I'll survive another shock in this waiting room.
And Wooten gets a shock of his own.
There are fire engines on your street.
Well, I hope Mrs. Kramer's all right. Whoa, they're in front of your house. Huh?
Brace yourself for excitement and fun on the next adventure in Odyssey.
Saturday mornings at 8:30 on KFUO.
Hi, I'm Gary Duncan, the General Manager of Worldwide KFUO. We promote our various programs. We ask you to listen to your favorite show. We ask you to support our broadcast ministry, and we thank you for that support. But maybe we don't ask you to pray for us as much as we should. Please pray for the staff, management, radio hosts, and volunteers here at Worldwide KFUO. Pray that the message of salvation through Christ is heard clearly by listeners around the world. Pray that we continue to reach into those areas that are hostile to the Word of God. Pray that KFUO continues to reach those people desperately needing to hear the good news message. And pray that God continues to bless us financially through the gifts we need to continue our broadcast ministry. Thank you for listening, supporting, and praying for Worldwide KFUO. You truly are appreciated. We are the messenger of good news, AM 850 in St. Louis, worldwide at kfuo.org.
The epistle reading for the third Sunday after the Epiphany will be the subject matter for our Bible class Wednesday. Yes, the church is one body, but it has many members. What is the purpose of many members in one body?
Listen to Law and Gospel weekday mornings beginning at 9:30 on KFUO.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Gulseth. I don't have a co-host today, but I do have a room full of people.
None of us are Andy.
None of you are Andy. Yeah.
I always amuse. I make myself laugh.
And Kevin just gives you weird faces.
Well, yeah, but that's what we're here for.
Apparently.
I'm actually Peter.
Yes. So joining me back in studio, still in studio, I guess. You didn't go anywhere. You just hung out here during the break.
Just drank coffee.
Just drank coffee.
During the coffee hour.
Yeah. Right? I know. I have Jamaican today. I just bought Jamaican again for the first time in a few months. This is my favorite one.
Ours is from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Ooh, that should be good too.
Several smallhold farms.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's delicious. We could talk for 12 minutes about coffee, but who wants to hear that?
Well, we're here to talk about life.
We are here to talk about life.
Wait, we are. That's coffee, right?
Yeah, actually. Peter Slayton, social media manager, Eric Lunsford, managing photojournalist, and Kevin Armbrust, director of editorial services, all for the LCMS. We're all here in this building. So thank you for sticking around with me today to talk about the Life Conference and March for Life. Was there something that you guys needed to say about the Life Conference before we moved on to the March for Life? I heard Dorothy whisper something to one of you guys.
Yes, we want to thank all our fantastic speakers at the conference, the breakout sessions, the plenary speakers, the pastors who led us in worship and the various services, our musicians. We had fantastic musicians as well. We want to make sure that we thank all of them for their contribution in making the conference what it was. Obviously, it couldn't be what it was without them. And the feedback we're getting is fantastic so far, and we want to thank them for their part in that.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, it was really good. Good stuff. All right, we're going to move on to the March for Life because we only have 10 minutes. So, yeah, reactions of the March for Life in 10 minutes. We're going to do this. So all of you had been there before. I'm curious your initial reaction to the march. Being surrounded by all these people, all these pro-life people, some of the protesters. What are your initial thoughts about the experience? I know you guys are all looking at each other. Kevin, go first.
This was my third march, and it was really an odd march because DC was shut down.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
It honestly was a very strange atmosphere for the march. Usually there's a little more excitement and a little more of the DC feel, and the march is part of that. This year, the march was kind of the only thing going on. So it was a little strange.
Literally the only thing.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
First of all, it was strange to be able to drive around DC with no traffic and park wherever you want.
But also awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But it really made the march have a different feel to it than other years. Not worse or better, just kind of a different feel. I think the other thing that I would like people to know that don't have an opportunity to go to the march, a lot of people seem to be worried about counter-protesters, or is it dangerous? I had some people concerned about bringing kids or something like that. And I've been to 3 marches and I've never had a problem.
Yeah.
There's no violence. There's no reasons to be scared of anything there. It's really a great march. And one of the things that I often talk to the police officers that are working, to kind of keep us safe and to kind of keep the crowd under control. And they always say that this is the easiest job as far as a public march goes because the marchers don't cause any problems. We're all polite and there's really no problems. They're like, this is easy. We like doing this. This is actually a very easy event to work. And that's one of the cool things is that for the vast majority of people there, we're just kind of walking, singing. Some people are talking. Some people are joking. Some people are very somber. And but it's really a great opportunity to come together with people of different religions, different backgrounds, different cultures. There were atheists there for Life, which was an interesting encounter some of our college kids had. Obviously, lots of Roman Catholic people there. The Lutherans, we had a very strong contingent this year, and we're very vocal, which was
very
fun.
loud singing.
Very loud singing.
Well, and that's the great part. Our being vocal was primarily our singing hymns and confessing the faith. And so whether we were saying the Lord's Prayer, confessing the creed, or singing the hymns, all of our vocalness was doing those things.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
It was all confessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Except for one point when we all stopped and on the side of a building is written the First Amendment.
Oh, yeah.
And we all read it out loud as a group. And it was such a physical reality of our doctrine of the two kingdoms.
Yeah.
That it might have seemed kind of incongruous to some people for a bunch of Christians to be singing praises and then stop and read their country's constitution, First Amendment to the Constitution out loud. But for us, that's part of who we are. We believe that God has appointed the government for his purposes and that God reigns in both kingdoms. And so this was kind of just normal for us. It was really great. It was a great experience.
Yeah, that was a cool thing to do. All right, Evan. I almost called you Evan. Eric.
I'll go by
Eric and a Kevin. Comes out Evan.
That's
Eric
okay.
or Peter.
I'm Evan today.
And I'm not Andy.
What are you guys? What were your experiences?
This has been a number of years I've marched now, and what's wonderful about this is that it's, you see just this, it's growing every year. I see more Lutherans there. I love that. And often, and I get an opportunity to kind of run back and forth. That's the one thing I'm not doing. I really hardly march. That's the thing. I really more like run.
Yeah.
Because circles.
I run. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I go from the front of the Lutheran line to the back and then forward again. Because I'm kind of working the line and make pictures. And I just love that I see it's every year. Not only do I get to see children grow up who keep coming every year. I love that. I love that. Cool. And then I see people again and again. It's like, hey, it's really great to see you. It's like, let's come together and do this. And what's great is I have a question for you. Because when I first started, my first march and I was working for the church, I thought, okay, I'm totally focused on making pictures, but I had to actually stop for a few minutes and just walk with everybody. Right? And it's part of that professing our faith and really confessing Christ amongst us, not protesting, right? And so you got to just kind of be a part of it for a little bit, which is something kind of weird for me as a photographer because you're kind of back and forth and doing other stuff. So I want to know from you, having marched for the first time, what's your thoughts on it?
Oh man, the table has turned.
We're going to interview you for the rest of the time.
Okay,
Sarah.
thanks guys.
Yeah.
I'm the one pushing the buttons over here. I can just turn all your mics off. No, I think what you're saying is very true. I was there to do a job, to interview people. And so I was very focused on that. And it made it kind of a weird space to be in because I knew that I had to be thinking about what I was going to talk to people about. And I couldn't fully soak it in. And I think it took until we were actually walking up Capitol Hill or the hill next to Capitol Hill, whatever that is, the hill. We were walking up the hill and I had talked to my high school, the kids that were there from my high school. And after that moment, I was like, this is really cool. Like, we're marching down Constitution in Washington, D.C. For people who can't. Like, who gets to do this? We get to do this. And to confess what we believe and talk about a public confession of faith, singing these hymns and saying the Lord's Prayer and the Apostles' Creed out loud in front of all of these people. You don't get to do that anywhere else. So that experience in itself and that the opportunity to do something like that, I'm still like processing what that actually means. Like I haven't written in my journal yet what I want to write in my journal because I don't have complete sentences about what I actually am thinking about it yet.
That's really well said. And I'll give you this one thing. We were walking about halfway through, and there was a photographer going the other way, and I recognized him, and I said, "Oh, hey!" And it's a former colleague I've worked with in the industry of newspapers, and I said, "Hey," I was like, "Where are you off to?" He goes, "I'm off to go file my pictures. He's got a deadline. He's getting them ready for the paper and whatnot." And I said, "Well," I was like, "Got time? Come and join the Lutherans, right? We're right in the back."
We were in the back.
I was like, exactly.
Appropriately, apparently.
I was like, we got the green hats, we're singing hymns, we're having a great time. I was like, but he's really busy, has got a deadline and such. But to be able to just like stop for a second and just really, just talk about your faith and say, you know what, this is a wonderful, good chance to be here, but also be a part of this is just magnificent. So I'm glad to see that, that first experience is really fantastic because it's hard to soak it in. It's really hard to put in words. It's hard to articulate it. And sometimes it's actually better just to not articulate it because it just kind of grows over time.
Yeah.
It becomes more like multi-year where you see this. And that's really just amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back because now I know what I'm going to be, somewhat what I'm going to be experiencing, hopefully not with a government shutdown next year. But I can like pre-process what's going to happen so I can come into it with a different view instead of being like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, so whatever.
Yep.
Peter, did you have more? We kind of like skipped over you.
Well,
you have about 2 minutes.
I talk a lot
and a half.
anyways. I always appreciate the positive tone of the march. And I think when we've talked about this before the march and every time, that's always what I come back to, is that this is a positive march. Kevin, you were talking about people concerned about their family and their safety. How in what other event can you join 100,000, 300,000, 600,000 people, depending on the year, and actually not be concerned for your safety and know that everybody there is actually there for the same reason, and nearly everybody there has a very positive, not angry outlook on this march. There are some exceptions. Some of them were marching behind us this time, which was very interesting.
That was an interesting experience.
Yeah. Not people who didn't think that we were hardcore enough and the right way. But in a group that size, that many people, you actually told me, hey, your backpack's unzipped. I was like, oh no. And I thought, well, actually, that's probably fine. Like, this is the one massive crowd where I don't have to worry about that as much.
Yeah.
But I just keep coming back to that. And I'm glad that as the LCMS, we're joining that we have taken that same tone, that we've chosen to take that same tone with our Eyes of Life campaign, where we are speaking positively, wanting to see people the way Christ sees them because of what he has done for them, and adding that voice to the already thousands of positive voices out there. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I know we have to be done. We can talk about this for another week. But the amount of people that were like, "What is Eyes of Life?" That was really cool to be able to talk to people about that too.
People are finally noticing it now.
Yeah. How many years later? No. Yeah. Oh, such a cool experience. Okay, maybe we'll have to come back in 6 months and reprocess everything again.
All right.
Maybe. I don't know. Kevin Armbrust, Peter Slayton, Eric Lunsford coming up from downstairs in communications to join me in studio to talk about March for Life. Thanks for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Sarah Golseth.
It's a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.